Charges are pending against a Winthrop woman after a report of gunshots prompted a shelter-in-place alert this morning. Winthrop police were called around 5:30 this morning on a report of loud music on the 300 block of South Redwood Street. Then around 7, they got more calls for reports of several gunshots. A shelter-in-place warning was issued for the surrounding area. After several attempts to contact those inside, authorities were able to eventually speak to a 45-year-old woman who was arrested without incident. No injuries were reported, and authorities say there's no known threat to the community.